Hello and welcome back to the King Street Cinema podcast. It's now November.
Yes.
This is our first episode in November. Whoa, it's been a while. I'm Andy. I'm joined as ever by James.
Hi.
Hello, James.
How's it going?
Good. Okay, so this week mostly we're going to talk about a film from 1983
Oh, yes.
that we're both fans of. It's got one screening.
Yes. One screening on the 30th, I believe, if I'm correct. Yes, 30th of November at 5 o'clock, I want to say.
5 p.m. Third part to the original Hollywood Superman saga.
Yes. So we're saying Superman 3.
Superman 3, yes. One I grew up absolutely loving.
Oh, yeah.
Never seen it on the big screen. James, do you remember the first time you saw this movie, or your first awareness of it?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, I can't tell you exactly, but I was very young.
Yeah. And
I remember seeing it as a very young child, probably about 3 or 4, I would say. It's a very early memory. I remember when you're that young, you don't really watch things properly, do you? You sort of like, you look at them and then you do, and you play with your toys or whatever at the same time, sort of thing. So I just like remember really vividly, like, bits like in the opening bit where he's it's almost like a montage of him saving people and being Superman, and there's a bit where some guy, he's trapped in his car and it's filling up with water. I can't remember how, and Superman comes along and rips the top of the car open and pulls him out. And I always thought, as a child, I just thought that was really scary, watching that man almost drown and then be saved by Superman and be like, yeah, that's really great. But now as an adult, it's fantastic, but in a different way, in a more sort of silly, campy way instead of a scary way.
Yeah. So, because I remember about the Superman saga as a kid is certain scenes.
Yeah.
Right. And when I think back, a lot of the scenes, most of what I remember loving, in fact, were actually from this movie.
Right. Yeah.
There's the lake, frozen lake.
Yeah.
Superman freezes it, flies off with the lake.
Which again is early on in the movie. Yeah.
Young child, Combine being saved.
Yeah.
That was from this.
Yeah.
And so evil Superman.
And dark Superman, or evil Superman, however you want to say, the bad Superman who comes up in the second half of the movie. Brilliant, fantastic. And I remember that again really clearly. That the bit in the was it sort of like not a factory, but a place where they demolish cars and stuff like that, which is I think is also really just speaking back from a kid's point of view. I always loved Superman because it felt really English to me. Even though it was American, it always felt really English, and I didn't understand why as a child, but obviously I do now, knowing that a lot of it was filmed over here. And that's one of the scenes where that's in Battersea.
But the power station.
Yeah, power station, and it looks clearly like London to me. Growing up in London, it always looked like home.
And also a lot of the smaller characters and extras and stuff in all of the films, because they were filmed over here, a lot of Pinewood Studios as well. People you'd recognise.
All the interiors are basically Pinewood. Yeah,
you'd recognise actors from British TV.
Mm-hmm.
This one starts with the sort of slapstick montage. Do you remember the beginning credits? It's very slapsticky.
Yeah.
Right at the very beginning of the film. And there's a few faces from that I recognise from British comedy.
Sure, yes, yeah.
There's a bloke with a bucket falls on his head.
That's right. Yeah.
Yes. But yeah, when this was released, it hit a lot of criticism.
Oh yes. Very much so. Yes.
Mainly because of the comedy in it, and they bring Richard Pryor in. Now, I watched last night. I haven't rewatched films. I've got my ticket to see it on the big screen.
Yeah, I haven't seen it.
I watched it probably 4 or 5 years ago, maybe.
I think I saw it 2 years ago.
Yeah. And watching the documentary, interviews with Christopher Reeve and the director and stuff, they actually brought Pryor in to make it a little bit more adult. Yeah, they say with his style of humour, and there's more going on character-wise, more adult themes with Clark Kent going back to Smallville and stuff.
I suppose so. I mean, you have the and there's certainly some stuff that you could perhaps say are maybe attempting at a more mature sort of storytelling, perhaps. But it is very much, I think, lost. Though, don't you think? Because it's really not. It's not.
But it's Richard Lester directed it.
Yeah, as he came on for the second one after Donna was fired.
Yeah, he took over and basically finished the film.
Yeah.
But he is really known for his comedy, When you think about the Three Musketeers films he made and things like that, they're very light-hearted. They're not straight out comedies, but there's a lot of humour.
He made Help and he made Hard Day's Night. So he coming from a very 60 swinging 60s kind of comedy feel, and you get that still in this one as well. That kind of very camp comedy.
The beginning scene could be bit Benny Hill.
Yeah, that kind of absolutely.
Or for younger audiences, Austin Powers.
Which you also see in the second Superman film. There are elements of that he directed that are clearly not Richard Donner's stuff.
But I like that, and I think that's what drew me to it as a kid, because there were moments of don't do spoilers, but there's bits, especially in the end sequences, that might have scared kids a little bit.
Sure,
but the humour brings you back.
Yeah, I was scared. Like I said, just even that. Right, so that bit that I mentioned about, that's a very small, minor sort of scare thing. I suppose the idea of drowning, is quite scary. Yeah. But later on, in the finale, there are some real scary moments that I remember very clearly being afraid of as a child. And when I watched them, like I say, I saw it fairly recently. I remember those feelings very vividly. It's very big part of who I am is that growing up watching this movie and other Superman films too, but this one I will say is my favourite. It is my favourite Superman film, and it certainly has a very special place in my heart. I'd say. For many reasons.
It's one that as kids, we saw it as an equal to the first two, and I think over time fans have realised it's slightly different. But I think it's as much of a fan favourite, if not more of a fan favourite than the first two. Because of that, it's got the more cult appeal. It got me into Richard Pryor as a kid.
Yeah.
And after watching this, I wanted to see more of his stuff. I remember See No Evil, Hear No Evil. I think, it was Stir Crazy. Was advertised being on TV.
Okay.
And I really, really wanted to watch it. My parents were like, you probably shouldn't. I watched it anyway. Loved it. And I think he brings a lot to this film.
He does.
It wasn't a documentary I watched, but I remember reading somewhere how they brought him in to improvise, but he didn't want to improvise too much because he's such a fan of Superman.
Sure.
He basically got the role because he went on, was it Carson or something?
Yeah, Johnny Carson.
And just going on about how much he loved the first one and retold the story on TV.
Yeah.
And I think you can tell his love for it in the performance.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
And out of all his movies, and I think he'd made 30 before this, or been in 30 films with cameos and stuff.
Yeah.
This one, I think you see him having the most fun in, and he is very Richard Pryor. When I think of his films, I do think of this.
Yeah.
This and the stuff with Gene Wilder, really.
Sure, yeah. I mean, this is for a younger audience, obviously, for not necessarily a mature audience, which of course is sort of more of what he's known for, more of his stand-up and stuff.
Yeah.
This certainly does stand out as a very clear representation of what he could do, his versatility, I'd say. Because I've talked to you about this personally, that I've always thought Richard Pryor was a great actor.
Yeah.
Right. And there's one film, Blue Collar, which is a great example of that, because that's not a comedy at all. That is a straight as you get drama, and he's fantastic in it. So, and that's no fluke, right? That's he was a great actor, and so when you see him I like to see him in very much rounded kind of things. And in this film, he's funny, but you can also see that he doesn't want to just be there to be the funny guy. Yeah. Full stop. He brings it makes the character really come out to life and is really interesting and is versatile. And the opening scene, I think if I remember, is him sort of kind of being comedic but also being quite serious about he's on a dole queue kind of thing. Remember? And it's like, I remember thinking that's a really interesting, when I last saw it, that was a really interesting scene to start the film off, because it gives the character characterization. You know who this person is. You get a sort of understanding of him before we even get into the plot. And I love that about it. I thought it was really good.
And you need a good actor for this character to make him likable.
Yeah.
Because of, I mean, most people have seen it, but the way the character goes back and forth between the good guys and Superman, you need someone that the audience can like.
Yes.
Because it could, if this character doesn't work, really, the whole film could proper fail.
Absolutely.
Yeah, if you got, I don't know, if you got Rob Schneider in or something
like that kind of thing. Yeah, so somebody's just going to be really stupidly wacky and offensive, make it offensive, and even for children, you know what I mean by offensive, just being over the top and outrageous and obnoxious.
He's not. Yeah,
he's none of that. He's none of that at all.
They've not just dropped in this slapstick character because he's more than that.
Yeah.
You know, there's a quite famous scene there with him on skis.
Yes.
Yeah, that slapstick. But then there's the.
But early on, he's explaining what they're talking about, what they're going to do, and he's trying to. He's in his mind, he's trying to moralize it all, like trying to work out like what his place is with these people. Are these people the kind of people I want to be spending time with and working for, and things like that? And then you get a bit of slapstick in there as well.
But you let's say you feel for the characters.
Yes,
you
very much
definitely do. We should talk about, because it's a different cast really than the first two. You haven't got Gene Hackman.
No. He wouldn't come back because of the way that Donna was treated.
And Kidder.
Her role, which was very much diminished because of her for sticking up for Richard Donner, and
they weren't happy with his demise from the second film.
That's right.
I don't really know what that was over, to be honest, but
we won't go into it here. But But talk more of the positives. About the great.
I was just thinking
Superman 3.
Yeah. But I feel the change helps this movie.
I agree, and I think most people also agree with that.
And if I'm honest, I prefer Superman 2 to the first Superman, and who knows, that could be because of Richard
Lester stuff. Maybe
could be. You never know. There is a Richard Donner cut, but I don't think that's a proper. They've just sort of pasted things together.
Yeah, it's not. It's not worth looking at if you haven't.
No. But you've got Robert Vaughn.
Yes, absolutely.
As the villain. No, mainly for TV, isn't he? Really? I mean, he's done a lot of films, but Man from U.N.C.L.E.
That's the one, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Indeed. Yeah.
And he's two. Almost sidekicks.
Yeah, so he's a sister and sort of assistant.
Yes, his sister is Annie Ross.
Yeah.
Who I know from the two Basket Case sequels.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, I completely forgot about that. Yeah. Yes.
And she's the headmistress in the 90s classic Pump Up the Volume.
Yes.
Been in loads of movies.
Yeah, yeah. But that's playing these kind of support roles, I'd say probably more than anything. But yeah.
Yeah, but that's what I know from. But then as a kid, when I was a teenager, when I watched Basket Case and Pump Up the Volume, I'd be like, where do I know her from? And I probably didn't connect.
Yeah.
And the assistant, Pamela Stevenson.
From not the 9 o'clock news.
Yeah, and it's been in a few films.
A few other things indeed. Yeah.
Wasn't she was a Saturday Night Live cast member for a season as well, I believe.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised, but I didn't know that.
I think so. I'll have to look it up. But I think that's. But yeah, and I didn't connect. I mean, I'd have seen Not the 9 o'clock news quite young. I didn't really connect the two.
No, me neither.
No.
I don't think I would have seen. I think I maybe came across Not the 9 o'clock news probably a little late after the fact, obviously.
Yeah, but I mean, when I watched that, I didn't connect her to.
No, me neither. I don't think so.
But they're very good character actors.
Yeah. All again work very well together. Different. They're not all very set. They're not all very. Like the characters are very. I think though these ones are much. I think lesser characters than the Richard Pryor character. They're still very. They're unique in themselves. They don't all blend into one kind of thing, and they very much stand out with their own roles.
Yeah.
Within the film, which is great because we are talking comic book here, aren't we?
Yeah.
And we're very much looking at the film. I think the film is very much in that area of the characters have got to be very standouty and quite wacky, but also it's movies, so we don't want them to be too outrageous, too crazy. Hopefully, but be a little bit larger than life and a little bit, like say like a cartoon, almost like a comic sort of thing. And I think it works. I think it works really well.
Yeah, there's a good dynamic between the three of them.
Yeah, absolutely. I think they work off each other really nicely. I like I think these characters are probably. I don't know. I never looked too much into what it is that the criticism too much of the movie over the years, but I'm sure part of it at least will be the villains that people will look at and say, oh, they're just too silly and they're not, whatever enough. They're not Gene Hackman enough or something. I don't know. They might be seen as lesser villains than sort of a Lex Luthor kind of thing.
But how do you follow Gene Hackman?
Indeed. But I think there's enough in there where they don't need to be like the scary stuff. I think in the film are what they're doing, because what they're doing is really ruthless stuff. It's on the same level as Lex Luthor kind of thing, And we see that, like the oil spill in the Atlantic and stuff like that, and the acid plants and all that, which plays early on in the movie, and then there's a callback to the end. It's quite scary, especially for kids. I think it's quite scary stuff.
Yeah.
And obviously the supercomputer at the end of the movie.
That's the bit, isn't it? That's the darker side of it. I mean, this is. I don't know. Firstly, I mentioned it at the beginning. I'm so pleased it's being shown, because so many films I grew up with, just you don't see on the big screen anymore. The first Superman, there's been anniversaries, and that's the one people remember. This one, I'll be honest, I never thought I'd see it on the big screen, especially in Ipswich.
Oh, wow. How about that?
And it was the one that, I think if you'd have taken 8-year-old me and said, which one would you like to see on cinema, I'd have said this.
3, definitely. Yeah. It's got to be 3 every time. I think, for me, on a very personal level, absolutely. I'm going to want to watch 3. Yeah.
And I sort of touched on it earlier. There is all the silliness and the darker moments. There's also the almost tender side of Superman. Very much so. When revisit Smallville.
Very important to the characterization and the continuation of the of Superman. I think it's a big part of what would have got Reeve back, who didn't want to do it again and was begged by Richard Lester to come back. There are a few names that were thought of, which I've got written down.
To recast?
For the recast. No. Do you want to hear some of the names? Okay. John Travolta. What do you think of that?
There was a big name they nearly cast for the first one.
Oh, I don't know.
Was it like Robert Redford or something?
Yes, that sounds right. Redford does sound right. Yeah. Okay, well, Jeff Bridges. Yeah. I mean, what do you reckon to that?
Yeah.
Kurt Russell?
Yeah, well, we could say if there's Jeff Bridges directed by John Carpenter.
Yeah. Oh, and the one that I think almost made Lester want to quit himself, was adamant against it. Yeah. You're going to love this. Tony Danza. Can you imagine?
Oh, my God. That'd be brilliant.
Who's the boss as Superman?
Oh, God. No, that would be... I think one of the genius things about this franchise was casting the then pretty much unknown Christopher Reeve.
Yeah.
And I think whenever they've done Superman since, the last guy was a little bit known, but they've gone for an unknown because it doesn't... A star will draw the potential audience away from Superman. Yeah, if it was John Travolta. Imagine if John Travolta had played him in the first one just after Night Fever and Grease.
Well, yeah, it would be the same year as Grease coming out.
So, it would be remembered not as a Superman movie, it would be remembered as a John Travolta movie.
Yeah. John Travolta's rise to fame.
Yeah.
And all that. It's a part of his rise to fame, Yeah. And probably would be, I mean, who knows? We'll never know if it would have been a better movie or not. Probably not.
I mean, facially, I could see John Travolta doing it. He could be, but same really with Tony Danza, I suppose. But I think in this they couldn't have recast, like they recast Michael Keaton in the few years later in the Batman ones, and that for me it didn't really work. But they got away with it.
I agreed.
Whereas I don't think they'd have got away with it with this.
I wouldn't have thought so. No, but just we'll go back to sort of Reeve. He's there. He's Superman again. And now he gets to do a thing where he gets to go back and rekindle an old flame kind of thing. And we get to find out a little bit more about, him and his background in Smallville and the people he knew growing up with. And it's really nice. And there's some really good stuff there. And some great characters there that you would not have got if it was just a continuation of Superman in Metropolis and all that, his life going forward in that respect.
Yeah.
So I was really happy that they went down that route because I think it works really nicely.
And we say about the comedy side of it. The Clark Kent character, when he goes back, kind of drops the slapstick side of it.
Yeah.
To rekindle with, is it Lana Lang?
The character of Lana Lang.
Played by Annette O'Toole.
Yeah.
Who a lot of people would know from It.
That's right.
A few years later. Yeah. She did loads of stuff. And she played Superman's mum in Smallville.
Right, yeah.
There we go. So for Superman fans, there's a fun fact for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a really nice scenes of him in his hometown. It's more the drama side of it.
Yeah, very much so.
Which I think really helps with the balance of the film, because there's a lot of action, which we haven't really spoke about that much. There's the comedy side of it.
Yeah.
And then you've got this, so there's lots of different things going on.
Yeah.
It's only 2 hours 5, something like that, isn't it?
That probably sounds right. I haven't got the.
If this movie was made now with everything going on, it would be 3 hours. I think.
Oh, without question. Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Yeah, we all know that the way that movies are made today is they're made very differently than they were 40 years ago.
But saying that, the Marvel films which have blown up, I don't think they'd be the way they were if it wasn't for these four Superman films, the original ones.
Yeah.
I was very... Yeah, they kick-started the whole superhero thing 20 years before Marvel.
Sure.
Yeah. And especially the humour side of it, I think, definitely comes from that. I still see Superman 2 as one of the most influential superhero films ever, because you've got that. It's been established in the first one really well, I'll add. And then the second one is just in your face.
Yeah.
Big villains, over the top, saving the world.
Yeah.
Same in this, but then you've got what I find really interesting, bringing in Pryor and bringing in all these other actors, and then it's another thing I always remember from Superman is those scenes in Smallville, and it kind of mixes in with the first movie, but really the memories are from the third one with the rival boyfriend and stuff.
Sure. Yeah.
And really well done.
Yeah, I agree. I think all those are the drama elements, the more human elements, obviously Clark Kent side of things, are great. And when, like I say, last time I watched it a couple of years ago, which I hadn't seen the movie in a long time, and I was a bit apprehensive about getting to those bits. I was a bit kind of like, they might not be so good, anymore. And I was really pleasantly surprised how lovely I thought they were.
Yeah.
And sentimental, but not so much that it becomes sickly. I thought it was I just thought it was really well done.
Yeah, no, I think what's great about it is the character of Superman, this big, strong guy, pretty much invincible. Putting stuff like this in, really, another thing that makes him relatable to the audience.
Yes.
And that he has got, I wouldn't say flawed, but there's the whole, he wants to protect humans is a very nice side of that character, but to see how much he cares about the individuals when he goes back to Smallville, and how growing up in that small town helped with his values and things like that.
Sure.
Is really nice. And
it is good. It is good what as they like to say nowadays, wholesome.
So I this is a podcast, the expression on your face as you said that was brilliant. Wholesome. Yeah. Another little cameo in the movie. One of the kids in one of the disaster scenes is the little infant Superman from the first movie.
Oh wow!
Found that bit out by watching some documentary.
Beautiful.
Yeah. And it was a hit, this film as well.
It was not as big as a hit by any means as the others.
No.
But it was a hit.
Yeah.
I'm sure it did not do anywhere near as well as they were expecting it to do, though.
Yeah. But they got 3 films out in 5 years, which was pretty good for back then.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was Supergirl came out just after this.
Yeah, a year later,
and then 2 years after that, Superman 4. So in under 10 years, you got 5 movies, really.
You did, yeah. Absolutely.
Which is kind of standard. I mean, when you look at, say, Star Wars, there was one every 2 or 3 years, wasn't there?
Yeah, 3 originally. Well, I think they've always done a sort of 3-year gap between.
Were there the later ones more recently 2 years?
That might be right.
Yeah, that might be right.
But the first 3 certainly, and then the prequels, if I remember correctly, were also 3 years.
Time goes so quick, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. What else? It wasn't John Williams doing the score, was it? On this,
was it not?
I think they used his score, and I think they got someone else in.
You
see, you don't notice because it's
forgotten to even think about it, to have a look it up. Who done the music? Because I suppose I just assumed.
Yeah,
it was John Williams.
I don't think it was.
Right, okay.
But you don't notice because it's
no. Well, I suppose maybe a little bit. I mean, because it's the more sort of incidental music, cues that are probably very much not Williams. Not what you'd associate necessarily. But of course, you'll always still have, the Superman theme. So and the
something missing from the more modern movies, I think.
Oh, cool. Yeah, absolutely.
That big score.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
I think it's missing from any movie that's of this type anymore.
Yeah.
You know, you don't really get the big you don't get big orchestral scores.
No. You get that really annoying guitar solo whenever you see Wonder Woman. Have you noticed that in the newer ones?
No.
There's like this, and it's like, stop it.
Do you know what? I've seen the film once, and I remember very little. So.
Oh, that second one, 1984.
I saw that again, seen that once, remember almost nothing about it.
Yeah. That's something nowadays they'd have probably brought a cameo in from Linda Carter as Wonder Woman in this, because it wasn't that around the same time, was it? Wonder Woman was a few years before.
Yeah,
that'd been nice.
It might work. I mean, these are probably ideas that they had. There are many different ideas, treatments, written for other Superman stories, other movies to be made that never got made. Some of them sound absolutely insane. I don't have any of them sadly written down.
But this movie, they adapted it, but the villain was meant to be Brainiac.
Yes, Brainiac. And
you can sort of see that.
Dudley Moore was the thinking for Brainiac. Yeah, it was
wow.
like who should it? Well, probably Dudley Moore, wouldn't it?
That
would have been good, wouldn't it?
They could have brought the
time as well.
The Peter Cook character from Supergirl in and linked them up.
Look at that! How good would that be? But it could have been a Derek and Clive in a Superman movie.
That would have been great. There'd be a director's cut there, wouldn't it? But what we got, I still think was fantastic.
Sadly, of course, that wouldn't have happened because at that point they were very much not on speaking terms.
Maybe that could have brought them back. But what we got, I think, is great. A standout superhero movie for me.
Yes.
And I'm forever grateful for this, for getting me into Richard Pryor at a young age.
Absolutely. Richard Pryor, fantastic. Massive part of this movie. If you don't know Pryor's work, go watch it.
And this is probably up there, if not his most successful movie.
It probably is, right?
Yeah.
Probably. I mean, I don't know if maybe his stand-up, the first one he did, I know it was a huge hit as well, but probably not.
But as a movie.
Yeah.
Because, things like Stir Crazy, Sin Over Him, done well.
Yeah.
But, it wasn't the big
No,
big
it didn't have the kind of budgets, obviously, that this one had either, I wouldn't have thought.
Brewster's Millions was a big one as well.
Oh, yeah, that might be big, maybe. I don't know. I don't know what the numbers are on that, but that certainly was a hit.
Yeah. But no, it's great. We've got to mention... the reason you're showing this, really, I'm guessing, is because of
I'm sure it is. I agree that it's the reason why we are showing it at this point. Yeah. Not that we probably come up at some point with a reason, an excuse for showing this one. But yes, there is a documentary coming out, or has just come out, and we will be showing at the same time, on the 23rd and on the 30th. So you could see it as a double bill or see it on another day.
That's what I'm doing on the 30th. On the 30th,
It's
on at 2:30.
Yeah, 2:30 in the afternoon and 5 o'clock on the 23rd. So, Superman, the Christopher Reeve story.
Yeah, it's by the guys who've done the McQueen documentary.
Right. Okay. Which I haven't seen.
I haven't seen, but read rave reviews.
Right. Yeah. Well, from what I'm getting about this movie, review-wise, is that it is a big thumbs up from everybody.
Yeah.
So I don't see anything controversial in this at all.
No, the trailer which I saw.
Yeah.
Before whatever I last saw at your cinema, it wasn't that long ago. I done a bit of a cheer because I thought you were showing the trailer for Superman 3.
Well, we have been trailing that too.
And then he gets all emotional. I've just cheered all the. But no, look, to be honest, I got a bit welled up during the trailer.
Well, I will say that certainly from the way this trailer comes across, this is going to be quite a tearjerker. I think it's going to be quite a weepy one for people. So but be ready for that.
But it looks like there's a lot of footage you now haven't seen before.
Yeah.
Just in the trailer, there's stuff with him and Robin Williams.
Yeah.
And an interesting. I can't believe, because I remember it all happening when he had his accident.
Yeah, 95.
95, and I can't believe he's been gone 20 years.
Yeah.
That's why the documentary's coming out now.
20 years. Yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of it is what he done after.
I think the majority of the film is about his. His recovery is such a weird word, but I'd say most, mental being able to put yourself, I'm sure, in a state where you can feel that you're going to get on with your life and do important work, which he did.
He did, yeah.
Certain other people perhaps wouldn't have in the same position that he was in, physically.
It's a great story, and from everything I've heard, this is a great documentary.
Yeah.
And
I'm pretty sure, almost certainly it will be. I can't see how anybody. Again, I don't think film that necessarily you have to be a fan of Superman to want to see this movie. I think this sort of thing that's universal.
Yeah,
you know, in its appeal for anybody. You know, anybody interested in people. You know, fighting the odds. I mean, who doesn't like that as a story?
Yeah.
You know, true life story. Brilliant. Very much looking forward to it.
Yeah, and I'm another one. I read about this documentary a while ago, and I'm so pleased it's been shown on a big screen. It is one I thought I might just slip out on streaming, but it'd be good to see it on the big screen.
Yeah, I don't know if anywhere else locally showing it, so
don't know. Don't look, mate. Don't look.
I generally don't.
Yeah. So yeah, this is good. If you want to do a triple bill that day as well, what you're showing.
Well, no, it's not. If you mean the other Superman film, because we have another one, don't we, on the 29th?
Oh, I was going to lead on to. You're showing Anora.
Oh, sure. Sorry, sorry. Before we
will talk about
just stick with the Superman theme, and we could go to Anora right now. So yeah, okay. So the new Sean Baker, people might know him from films like Tangerine or the Florida Project, a couple of movies that we had shown at our cinema in the past, which had done very well. This is his new one. Won the Palme d'Or at Cannes. What to say about it? I mean, you've seen it, so I haven't seen it. I've only seen the trailer.
Probably my favourite drama of the year.
Right.
Tonally very different from Superman.
Well, sure.
Don't want to go into too much, but it's imagine a more adult Pretty Woman, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, that's what the trailer looks like.
Yeah. But it's the humour in it is fantastic.
Right.
The humour reminded me of kind of almost Tarantino humour. It's about a sex worker who basically marries a young rich guy and the consequences with the family after.
Yeah.
Very well acted. When it's dark, it's dark. It's an 18 for a reason.
Yeah.
Not just the sex stuff. There's a lot of adult stuff in there.
Right.
But when it's funny, it's very funny. Superbly acted. I went in a bit. You know, is this going to be one of those? The critics love it, but. I mean, sometimes I think films try to be too clever that get the praise. This doesn't. This is that straight drama. There's a lot of there's stuff going on there which is well written and I thought it was absolutely fantastic. As I say, probably my drama of the year so far.
Well, I mean, everything I've heard about it and read about it, which I did quite a lot, to be perfectly honest. Because this was one that just came out for me personally. I just came out of nowhere. I hadn't checked who'd won at Cannes. Generally, don't pay too much attention to stuff like that, even though I know I should really, consider it's part of my job. But yeah, I more just like look at things and like to read up up on them, like plot wise and what they're about and who's in them, why they're made by, rather than the awards and things. But everything I was looking at looked really good. Like everything was like, oh yeah, that does sound. Yeah, really, really good. Like, just like you say, you could just say, oh, it's kind of like a darker Pretty Woman, and that might not interest people. But if you actually went and had a proper look, and if you know Sean Baker's work, again, that's another thing. I didn't realise it was by him, and then when I saw his net, I just heard a quick synopsis. I was like, oh, that sounds okay. It doesn't sound great though. And I heard Sean Baker. I was like, oh no, that it's going to be more interesting. I looked more into it. And I was like, oh no, those little plot points in there that I'm like, that's really cool. That's really good. That's hopefully, if that's done well, which I can't see why it wouldn't be by this guy, that's going to be some top-notch drama right there. Yeah. And everyone is saying it is. So yeah.
Yeah, it's for me, and I I'm known for my high reviews. Easy 5-star movie of the year. Yeah. We will mention. Just one more for the week before. I forgot to mention on the 23rd. And 24th, you've got the Room Next Door.
Yes.
Another very good drama.
Right, yes. Well, again, very much looking forward to that one as well. Pedro Almodovar. Shown a lot of his movies over the years at the King Street, which used to be IFT, but yeah, at the cinema. Have always done really well. First English language movie, being a Spanish filmmaker, predominantly. Almost exclusively to this point. Great, Tilda Swinton, Julianne Moore, great names. Should be fantastic, right?
I've seen it, yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Another really good film.
There we go.
if you're a drama fan, which a lot of you will be,
quite poignant subject matter, I'd say. Something that's in politically charged stuff a lot in news recently, especially in this country. I think I've heard it being talked about quite a lot. But,
it's a hard hitting film, very very emotional, and the two leads are absolutely fantastic. Yeah. And it's got the guy, I always forget his name, who's in the he's in Fargo and a lot of the is he in Fargo? He's in a lot of the Coen Brothers movies. John, I know him from he's in Adam Sandler films. In Mr. Deeds, the sneaky guy. John.
I'm going to say his name wrong, but I know who you mean. Yes, I can't say it. I can't think of it right now. Like, it's on the tip of my tongue, but I can't say it. I know who you mean. Yeah. He is in a lot of Coen Brothers movies. Barton Fink.
Yeah. And he's really good in it as well.
Yeah, brilliant.
So there's two top quality dramas that will probably be remembered this year. Will be remembered for. So while we're there, let's just bring ourselves back a bit and discuss on the Friday
So we have a very unusual. When I say unusual, I don't mean that in a strange kind of what kind of movie is this. Unusual in the sense that nowhere else you're going to be seeing this in a cinema. No. It's just not going to happen. I can't believe it. Unless it's somewhere that's doing a really extensive look at every single Superman or Spider-Man or comic book movie type thing.
Or if someone's just copying what you do.
Yeah, or whatever. So sorry, it's not Superman, but it's
Spider-Man.
It's Spider-Man, right? So Spider-Man and the Dragon's Challenge, which is a movie that did come out in Europe and in Australia in the cinemas, but in America, where it's from, obviously, it was a TV thing.
Yeah. This happened a lot back then. You had like the Buck Rogers pilot episode came out in cinema.
That's right. So this is a couple of episodes of the TV series, I think, sort of put together to make a movie. And I've never seen it.
I've never seen it either.
We're showing it on VHS, but so part of the VHS, Be Kind Rewind VHS nights. I think it's got a lot of interest, right, from people that are like,
I couldn't get my normal seat when I booked.
Right,
I couldn't get it.
Yeah, there you go. See, this is one that a lot of people that are into superhero kind of stuff, who are really kind of nerdy in that respect, are like really like, wow, because this is not one that you're gonna get.
Well, it's not just you won't see on. On a big screen, you won't. There's no DVD. It's not on streaming service.
So this video, like I say, VHS video. We've already got. I've got it. Have got it. I have not seen it yet. I do not. I kind of like don't. I don't know. A part of me doesn't want to spoil any of it. I mean, obviously, I will test the video itself. But I don't really want to like just watch it beforehand, sort of thing. This
is something quite special if you're a nerd like me. But recently I've gone back and watched the newer movies, the big budget, Sam Raimi and I think I'm in the mood to go back even further and see this now. I remember bits of seeing the TV series as a kid, but I think it was one of those shows that wasn't over on what seemed like a regular time slot. They just sort of put it on
TV was kind of crazy back then with stuff like that, like imported stuff. They'd always be reslotting it in places because they'd never find like a good place for this kind of stuff, because it really sort of stood out on British television, American shows like this.
But I've always called that time of it MacGyver syndrome, because MacGyver never seemed to be on in a regular time, and I loved MacGyver.
Right. Yeah.
As a
MacGyver's cool. Yeah. I got that thing against MacGyver.
Yeah.
Well, that was a similar sort of thing with like the Hulk, which was a great, the Incredible Hulk, which was a great show, and Knight Rider and stuff like that.
Spider-Man would have been around the same time as the Incredible Hulk.
Absolutely, So these are early 80s. This as a film come out theatrically, and I think even on TV was in 81.
81, yeah.
So
that's 20 years before the Hollywood.
And it's not the only one as well that was TV show made for put together to make theatrical releases for foreign markets.
So
I don't know how many there were, but there was more than just this one. So,
Yeah.
maybe there's some others might get shown.
I think they made 3 Spider-Man ones.
Was it 3, was it?
So, yeah.
All right, brilliant. So maybe we could do it at some point, show the others.
Yeah.
See how we do with this one.
Yeah, so you can get your tickets for all these movies and more. We've got to wrap it up soon because you've got to go to work.
We're okay for a couple of minutes or so, but yeah.
You've got one I really want to see, but I'm away the weekend. It's on the 9th, is it? Time Stalker?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, very much looking forward to that. So that's coming up this Friday.
Yeah.
And Saturday.
Alice Lowe.
Alice Lowe. I think second directorial movie.
Yeah.
She did one called Prevenge.
Yeah.
That was really good. Very twisted, dark humor. Very. If you've seen her in other thing of Sightseers that she wrote, which was a fantastic movie, and of course going all the way back to being in things like Garth Marenghi's Dark Place and stuff like that. So that kind of humor is what she does, but even more theatrically dark.
Yeah, and I have checked. You are the only cinema in Ipswich showing this one.
This one doesn't seem so dark though. Yeah. This is a sort of like I'd say, just thinking of her, sort of career-wise and what she's written and directed. Because of Prevenge was, I thought, a very dark film. This one maybe not so much, a little bit more like, but still, I'm sure with the similar feel. Themes.
So like I said, we haven't checked for the other films, but this one is definitely only on at King Street,
right? Because
I can't see it, so I look these things up and I'm like, oh bugger.
I'm sorry.
That's all right. I'm not bitter. You're also showing. I've got a thing for Point Break's on.
Yeah,
that's an anniversary.
Oh, I tell you what, we could have done a podcast on Point Break because that's one of my movies of the 90s. So I love Point Break. I've always been an advocate for it. A lot of people in the past have been kind of a bit iffy about it, sadly. I know, crazy, right? I don't know. Just people probably had enough of action movies at that point or whatever. I don't know, and probably like, oh, really, another one? It's like, no, this is fantastic. This is a great movie. Everyone should come and see this film. It has, the great Keanu Reeves, the even greater, perhaps, Patrick Swayze, in one of his greatest roles of all time,
and the fantastic Laura Petty from Tank
absolutely
Girl.
From Tank Girl and League of Their Own and other such great films.
Yeah. California Man, she was in that.
And California Man. And this is...
No, she wasn't.
No?
Cadillac Man.
Cadillac Man, that's the one you meant. Yeah. So, surfing and bank robbing. I mean, what else do you want from a movie?
That film sounds like it needs the Red Hot Chili Peppers. What? They're in it?
Incredible, playing, as they would, kind of beach bummy type characters.
Yeah. This is a fan favourite. I think this is one of those movies I haven't heard anyone. I've heard different things.
Oh no, seriously, yeah. I remember people sort of kind of very like, I don't know about that one. I don't know. Maybe some people just don't like Catherine Bigelow style. I don't know, but yeah,
I like it.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah. I think it's fantastic.
And then you've got. Was it already been on? With Seven Samurai's been shown already. Yeah. And Blitz, another one I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, okay, so new Steve McQueen. One of my favourite British filmmakers of more modern times. Really looking forward to this one. World War II drama, I'd say. Yeah.
And he's shown that for a full week.
4 weeks, so it's coming up. We got our release date, so we've got it for the whole week.
So I'm bringing my parents along.
Fantastic. So you've got no excuse basically for missing this one because you've got the whole week to plan around it.
Yeah. And very quickly mention as well, you're bringing back Wilding with a Q&A.
Yes. We showed it before the Q&A recorded. So it's a recorded Q&A.
Did I leave and miss the Q&A?
You must. Oh, sadly, I'm sorry. You have to come and see it. Have to come and see it again. I definitely did show it with the Q&A. Yeah.
Both times.
Ah, yes, that's right. Yes. We showed it twice, and once we didn't have Q&A. That's why you didn't see it.
Normally, I get up and start talking to you. You'd have been like, Andy, go back in.
Yeah. Sorry, I forgot that we showed it twice, and once was without the Q&A. Yeah. But this one is with the Q&A again.
That's on Saturday the 16th at 2:30.
So if you're into the idea of rewilding this lovely country of ours and the planet, looking after it, and learning some tips and that, here you go.
Fascinating documentary that. I really enjoyed it. We should probably wrap things up now. It's been a bit of a quicker episode.
Just like run through some stuff. I mean, we've pretty much done it all. Oh, one of your favourites, the taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3.
That's another of the VHS.
One of the VHSs. That's on the we're saying 15th.
15th. Yeah. That's Multimatic. Robert Shaw as well, I believe.
That's right, Robert Shaw. What a Matau.
Really good thriller.
Oh,
fantastic film.
I mean, seriously. I mean, what's not to like with this month's movies? I mean, you've got a bit of everything right there, haven't you?
Yeah. A bit of everything and a lot of superheroes.
Absolutely.
Well, no, there's 2 superheroes.
Wow,
but 2 you wouldn't see anywhere else.
Exactly. I mean, this is the whole thing about King Street Cinema, is trying to show you stuff that you will not see anywhere else, and at the same time giving you some things that maybe you would, but much better to come see it at ours, I'd say.
Yeah. See it in style.
See it in style.
So don't forget to follow on the socials. Find the King Street Cinema on Instagram, Facebook. Are you on X?
I'm not personally. As far as I'm aware, no.
Don't bother. I'm not on it. So what's the point?
No, exactly.
And the website. Get all your tickets from the website. Really easy to. I'm rubbish on. I'm like an old man on computers. I can't do nothing.
But you can do that.
I can book.
So if you can do it, anyone can do it.
It's got all my details saved, and I just click it, and I've got a ticket. And I'm like, I got a ticket because I'm seeing Superman.
Woo!
Yeah. So and we'll be back as a podcast. It'll be December now, won't it? We've sort of done everything. We've done a.
Yeah, I mean, we don't really have to, I suppose. Now we just run through the listings for the whole month.
Because I'm away. And
you're away. You're busy.
And I'm like, we've got to do Superman 3, which is shown at the end of the month. So we might as well just do everything.
Absolutely. So that's fine. And we'll be back for in December.
So there's be more good stuff. Any sneak peeks for December yet? So you got the Muppets.
Got the Muppets.
Yeah,
I got the Muppets. And some little fairy character turns into not so fairy characters, for Christmas.
Oh yes, Gremlins! Boom! Well, that's what we're doing the next episode on then. Gremlins. Well, I was like, furry characters, not. Wow. Gremlins. Yes, the original Gremlins. Because you did show a few weeks ago Gremlins 2.
Absolutely.
Which was fantastic.
Yeah. So more Joe Dante to come then.
Yeah. So enjoy your Novembers, people. We'll see you at the cinema. Farewell.